In every city, there are ghosts that never rest. They linger in unsolved cases, in unanswered questions, in boxes of evidence that sit untouched for decades. And sometimes, those ghosts come back demanding justice. This is the story of Louisa Dunne, a quiet widow from Bristol whose brutal murder in 1967 haunted investigators for nearly 60 years. A story of patience, of science, and of a killer who thought time would protect him. Louisa Dunne was 75 years old, a widow, living alone in a modest house in Easton, a working-class neighborhood in Bristol. Neighbors described her as gentle, independent, a woman who had lived through 2 world wars and the Blitz. She had raised her family, lost her husband, and in her later years found contentment in her home and routine. But on the night of June 28, 1967, her world was violently shattered. When Louisa didn't appear the next morning, concern spread quickly. A neighbor checked on her, and inside the house they found a scene of horror. Louisa had been brutally assaulted and murdered. At the time, forensic science was limited. Police collected what they could: her clothing, a palm print on the window, fibers, and blood traces. But with no immediate suspect, the investigation stalled. In the 1960s, cases like this relied heavily on witness testimony and confessions. Forensics was in its infancy. DNA analysis didn't exist. And so, despite investigators' best efforts, Louisa's killer simply vanished back into the city. Years passed. Generations of detectives came and went. The case remained unsolved, gathering dust in the archives of Avon and Somerset police. But the family never forgot. Louisa's descendants carried the weight of knowing their grandmother's murder had never been answered. And all the while, one man lived freely, Ryland Headley. He was in his 30s in 1967. He had a criminal past, but nothing that tied him directly to Louisa's case. Not back then. He went on with his life believing he had escaped. Then came the revolution. By the 1980s and 1990s, DNA analysis became a powerful forensic tool. Cold cases across the UK were being reopened. Detectives took another look at Louisa's case. The evidence, her clothing, the preserved palm print, had been carefully stored for decades. Now it was tested again. In 2023, a breakthrough. DNA from Louisa's skirt revealed a male profile. That profile matched Ryland Headley. At the same time, experts re-examined the palm print left on Louisa's window. It too matched Headley, the ghost had spoken. In 2025, Headley, now 92 years old, was brought to trial. Imagine that. A frail old man in the dock, but behind those years was the violent truth of what he had done. The jury heard the evidence. The DNA, the palm print, the preserved crime scene material, it was overwhelming. He was convicted of rape and murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. For Louisa's family, it was justice delayed, but not denied. Nearly 60 years after her death, her name was finally honored in court. This case is now recognized as the UK's oldest cold case ever solved. But beyond the headlines, it's about something deeper: how violence ripples across time and how families carry wounds for generations. It's also a reminder of how far forensic science has come. From fingerprints and sketches to DNA and genetic genealogy, tools that can reach across decades and unmask killers who thought they were safe. Ryland Headley thought time would erase his crime. But time, paired with science, became the very thing that caught him. Louisa Dunne's ghost can finally rest. This is Fractured Minds, where we tell the stories of forgotten crimes hidden in the shadows of history and the long, winding paths to justice.